How does the human body produce voice and speech? Every day, many of us rely on voice and speech to communicate. Let's explore the processes of breathing, voicing, and speaking. What is voice? Your voice is as unique as your fingerprint. Voice or vocalization is the sound produced by humans and other vertebrates using the lungs and the vocal folds in the larynx. The larynx, sometimes called the voice box, is the primary organ of voice production. Voice and speech are not the same. An infant crying or an adult laughing are examples of vocalization or voice production. What is speech? People typically express thoughts, feelings, and ideas orally to one another through a series of complex movements that alter the basic tone created by voice into specific identifiable sounds called speech. Before we get into more detail about how voice and speech are produced, let's explore how we breathe. The first step is taking air into the lungs. The large dome-shaped muscle called the diaphragm, which is located directly below the lungs, contracts and expands vertically, lifting the rib cage and allowing the lungs to fill with air. After the lungs bring oxygen into the body, they remove carbon dioxide through breathing out. When breathing out, the diaphragm and rib cage return to their resting positions, forcing the air out of the lungs. How do we produce voice? There are several parts of the body that play a role in voice production. Vocal folds are two bands of tissue that are positioned opposite each other in the larynx. The larynx is located between the base of the tongue and the top of the passageway to the lungs, known as the trachea. When you are not speaking, the vocal folds are open so that you can breathe. Voice is generated by airflow from the lungs. When it's time to speak, the pressure below the larynx increases until it blows the vocal folds apart.
Hello. Hello.
The vocal folds are first forced apart at the bottom, followed by the top, and air is forced through the very narrow opening. The opening between the vocal folds is called the glottis, which opens during breathing and narrows during voice production. The pressure forces the air through the vocal folds, which creates a suction as we exhale. This suction pulls the vocal folds together at the bottom, followed by the top. When the air from the lungs blows past the vocal folds at a high speed, the vocal folds vibrate. In order to produce typical loud speech, the vocal folds and larynx must vibrate normally. How do we produce speech? Speech is produced by precisely coordinated muscle actions in the head, throat, chest, mouth, nasal cavity, and abdomen. Speech development is a gradual process that requires years of practice. During this process, a child learns how to regulate these muscles to produce understandable speech. Different parts of our nose and mouth are carefully positioned to create speech sounds. We position the velum, tongue, jaw, and lips in reference to permanent parts of our vocal tract, such as the roof of our mouth.
Hello. Hello.
As you can see, the process of producing voice and speech is complex and plays an important role in our daily life. For more information on voice and speech, visit the NIDCD website at www.nidcd.nih.gov.